Waiting to get the notification. Okay, and we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening for a special edition of Off the Record. We have a great guest, Brother Daryl Muhammad, who is from Washington, D.C., and who was a staple in the community and the nation, but especially in drill for me, which is where I grew up looking up to him. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Daryl.
Wa alaikum salam, soldier.
Yes, sir. Brother Daryl, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
So if I can start out with something briefly first, you don't mind.
Yes, sir, I know.
Okay, well, I first want to thank you very much for doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
You know, because from what I've seen, you brought out a lot of brothers and sisters that we don't hear from as much. And we kind of wonder what's going on with them. But if you can tune in to Josh, what's it called, Josh?
Off the Record.
Off the Record. You get to see a lot of brothers and sisters in the nation who you haven't seen before in a while. So I really want to thank you. So it's a good work you're doing, and I hope you keep it up. It's really appreciative. And so hopefully everything I say would be in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Bear witness, there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Just to get straight to your question, because I know you have top 5 coming up. And you want to hurry up and knock this out. I understand. So we're going to have to go through this because we look forward to hearing that top 5.
Yes, sir.
But 1984 was when I really showed an interest. Prior to 84, my oldest brother, Brother Ibrahim Muhammad, who was a lieutenant right now in number 4 in D.C., he went to MUI prior to 75 under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he always brought to the family bits and pieces of Islam back in the day, prior to 75. But of course, none of us really paid attention to it during that time. So when 84 came, you know, I showed an interest, and actually 85, right at Madison Square Garden, during that time was when I received my ex. And it was really due to a search that I had for the truth. You know, I was attending church every Sunday, Baptist church, seeking the truth. And certain things took place, and it just spearheaded me towards the mosque. I actually started driving my brother, who was the Richmond. He was in Richmond, but he was going back and forth to Richmond. He was the minister there, Brother Ibrahim. I was driving him back and forth, kind of being his security before I even got my ex. So then I started attending. We was meeting at the Howard University, Howard Inn Hotel on Georgia Avenue. Back in 85, he was under the leadership of Captain Harry Muhammad. So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, I didn't know that about your brother. I didn't know any of that about your brother. But
you might find out a lot of things today, Josh.
Yes, sir. Okay. How did your family accept you accepting the teachings? Like, was that controversial, or was that okay?
Well, it was really plausible because, you know, during the time we accepted the teachings, we put down the lifestyle we were living. So, you know, when your family see that you making a change and you dressing up every day and you going out into the communities to make a change in the communities,
yes, sir.
How can your family not appreciate that? You know, but of course, they had their way of life. And my oldest brother, and I'm the youngest, and we, you know, between us is 4 other siblings, whom which are staunch Christians. But we covered the family with the oldest and the youngest being in the nation. And so it wasn't hard, you know. Mom's was always supportive, you know, to this day. I mean, you know, she listens to Farrakhan at 85 years old.
Yes, sir.
You know, so I had a strong upbringing from my mother. You know, she was a spiritual woman, and that contributed to a lot of me accepting the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the teachings of the Nation of Islam. Just my upbringing.
Okay, excellent. Yes, sir. Now, once you were at Madison Square Garden, or you saw Madison Square Garden during this time period, what was the climate like in Washington D.C. to make a young black man want to join the teachings? Like, what was the climate like as far as the community, the streets, or what was it like?
Well, of course, this was in '85, so this was really prior to us really going hard in the streets of DC. We was more so just trying to establish the FOI and the Nation of Islam, you know, having FOI class in Brother Anthony Muhammad's basement, whom we know in the Nation of Islam is Secret Squirrel. So we really wasn't that prevalent in the streets until, you know, of course, 3 years later, 1988. But I know I'm quite sure we're gonna get to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, okay. Excellent.
You know, it was kind of, you know, you could tell the streets was getting there. It was getting there. Drugs started coming into the communities, but we was establishing a foundation amongst ourselves as FOI at that point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. What was it like when the Most Honorable Louis Farrakhan would come to DC during this time period? Before it was a big entourage or a big E-team. What was the climate like when you all got to see him up close and personal?
Right, which was, you know, during that time a real blessing, you know, because this was the time where you wasn't restricted from going but so far to the airport. You can walk all the way to the gate and receive him as soon as he get off the plane. You know, and most times he would be by himself a lot. He really didn't have too many people with him. Yeah, he would be by himself a lot. And so, of course, in DC, we was always organized and had a system in place. Every time he came, we would meet before he come and meet him at the airport and put him in the car, ride him to the hotel. And, you know, we was all right there with him. And it was a blessing. Because, you know the leader, Louis Farrakhan will always teach and train.
Praise be to Allah. Now we live in the time period now where everything's technology, cell phones and stuff like that. What was it like doing security without cell phones and things like that, like in the early days?
Well, of course, we had beepers, man. We had pagers.
Yes, sir.
So we knew codes meant, you know, we hit 811. You know, we knew what to do. We hit 411, 711. You know, we knew what to do. You know, but we did have walkie-talkies. So, you know what I'm saying? We did have the radios back then. And, okay. That's how we really communicated.
Yes, sir. Now, when you came in the mosque, who was responsible for teaching and training you to give you your military posture that and military bearing that you have carried so long, all these years?
Well, I'm thankful to a lot of brothers. You know, one of my MOs is that I study people. You know, I study you, Josh. You come around. So I have to give my hat to Captain Harry Muhammad, who was the captain in 85, 80, 84, 85, 86, 87. I believe that's when he transitioned, you know, but during that time, you should be familiar with, and a lot of brothers and sisters in the nation is familiar with John X. Jeter, who I believe now is the minister in Alabama. He was the lieutenant's trainer. And he trained the lieutenants on you know, in a unique way. You know, he checked us when we were slacking, you know, but it started out with Captain Harry. And a lot of the brothers back then was hardcore starch, you know, and this was just the 85 years, 85-year point. But of course, just real quick, just moving up a little bit to 88, when we first went into Mayfair, This is the era where Brother William Muhammad, which was Brother Sharif now, he was the captain. And the way he operated, we knew that his mission was to help the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. His mission was to develop a brotherhood that from morning to night, we were working diligently to help the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And when you have that type of captain in Brother Sharif, you can't help but developing a bond, and you can't help but being a soldier. Because you didn't have time to be nothing else but a soldier. You know, so when you have a hard-working captain like Brother Sharif, you didn't have, you had to be a soldier. Period. You had to be a soldier. You know, so with that training and with the training of drill that came from John X. Jeter, who was the DI, and then he passed the baton to Brother Akil Muhammad, who was Rodney Muhammad at the time. And then Brother Anthony Muhammad, who is now the minister in Memphis, took the drill cadence on a different level, you know, which we were thankful for, because prior to Brother Anthony, it was left feet, right feet, left feet, right feet, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we marked marched a little bit, but you know, but Brother Anthony brought the rhythm to the cadence. Yeah, left flank march, flank ways to the rim, which flank ways to the rim, which double to the rim, which flank ways to the rim. So Brother Anthony helped me with developing that DI spirit and incorporating what Brother Akil, Brother Rodney, Brother John X. Jeter, and Brother Anthony, all them in one. I studied them, and that's when we took drill on another level, especially in the late 80s.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, I want to come to you. I want to respond to everybody in the audience. Thank you all for watching this special edition of Off the Record with Brother Daryl Muhammad. Walaikum salam, Brother Michael. Walaikum salam, Sister Mariah. Walaikum salam, Mimi. And Mimi says, period. Thank you, Sister Miriam. So that's Muhammad for that. Brother Daryl, Captain Harry. I'm trying to put a face with it or a name. If you could help explain to us, like describe. I don't remember him. Could you explain to us who he was and how was his demeanor?
Captain Harry was he was the most humblest captain you could meet. You know, he wasn't real vocal, he wasn't real loud, he wasn't aggressive. But the training that he gave was the type of training that every FOI should get, and that's how to be a Muslim. Sometimes we miss that type of training. You know, we more so geared towards the work, pushing the papers, coming to the mosque, but to train a brother on how to be a Muslim is a whole different feel. And this is how you could categorize Captain Harry. He was an older brother, you know, not too tall in stature, stocky. You know, he's actually on Facebook. You can look him up, Harry Muhammad. I think it's Harry S. Muhammad on Facebook. So yeah, he was real instrumental in when I first got my ex, and maybe the first year or two in my upbringing.
Yes, sir. And the brother John Jeter with the drill. I gotta. Could you explain to us who he is? So I'm gonna interview all these people that you're saying, so I can get put the whole story together.
Well, of course, John X. Jeter, again, he was loud, he was aggressive, he was, and he was real blunt, he was outspoken. He told brothers in meetings that I'm not even gonna say on your live clip, he told us things that we may think of, but he'll tell it, but he was just straightforward. He was the type of brother we needed to hear from because he was real. he was real. He didn't pull no punches. He told us exactly what needed to be heard, you know, and he became a minister. He's actually the minister now in Alabama. And every time the minister speak at any large gathering on the South or anywhere on the Southern region, you'll see John X. Jeter pop up. I say John X. Jeter, but of course he's John Muhammad now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what we called him then.
Excellent. Well, right there, what most people know you for outside of drill, which we come in, I got a whole segment just for drill, but it's the Dopebusters, and you all going into the community of Washington, D.C. and cleaning up the crime from the drug lords. Could you explain it to us, the climate and what it was like to be a young man in such a climate to face that head on?
Yes, sir. Well, of course, praise be to Allah again for the training that we received, you know, not only from your dad, Brother Sharif, but we had brothers like Brother Timothy Muhammad, who is now here in Atlanta, who became the first officer in DC during that time. And so when you look at these type of brothers, these were brothers who were fearless. So we had a crew of brothers in DC who weren't afraid of anything. You know, our fear was only Allah himself. I mean, when I tell you we were fearless, trust and believe we were fearless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
However, you know, we did have a couple of brothers now that, you know, that kind of, you might even see that on the Dopebusters video.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we had some brothers that disappeared when we decided to take on one of the top 5 drug-infested neighborhoods in America. This wasn't just in the region, but this Mayfair Mansion was considered one of the most drug-infested areas in the nation. And it was said that the Jamaicans from New York ran Mayfair and Paradise, and they wasn't going to have nobody coming in shutting down their millions of dollars of drugs that they was putting out in this community. This was a community that was completely New Jack City. If you ever seen the movie New Jack City, this was Mayfair Mansions in real life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I promise you, people were living in attics. Nobody could come outside unless you had permission from the drug boys. Everybody's house was on lockdown. I mean, it was Beirut.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, but now here we come in this neighborhood, really just to push the program and to spread the word of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan through the final call. And most of the people, most of the drug boys start with that, just pretty much scattered and seized what they were doing. And so, of course, you know, the owner of this property recognized our power and our strength. And he wanted us to come back. And so Brother Sharif said that he need 25 dedicated brothers that can go into this neighborhood in April of 1988. Now, of course, I started cooking at the time. I was a chef at American University. And I had to work that day. But I told this cracker that I wasn't coming in. And he told me if I don't come into work, I might as well, you know, look for another job. And so I had to make a decision. But again, we love the work. We love the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the work.
Yes, sir.
And so the job didn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? I made up something. I wasn't feeling well. I was sick or something, you know. And I'm only saying this for a reason that I'm getting ready to get to. So when that day came, 25 of us showed up, and we went from door to door, cleaning the property up. We saw drug dealers. They respected us. They rolled out. Some pulled out sawed-off shotguns, and we had to deal with them. And they ended up leaving the property with neck braces on and spending time in the hospital. And we walked through this community, you know, freeing the people up. And when statistics was taken, it was clear that, okay, crime went down. in this community tremendously from that day until the day we left. You know, so I called myself trying to go back to work, but little did I know, I appeared in the newspaper the next day, and it was like, I thought you was sick.
Yeah,
you know, but I couldn't argue. It was actually me and brother Mark Muhammad, who is located in Boston now. We worked the same job at American University, and we both got terminated at the same time because it was found out that we was with the Muslims in Mayfair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, but it was no looking back after that. You know, we stayed in that community until they was able to renovate each unit, remodel the building, and it was a complete turnaround. You know, we had people coming in from overseas to interview us for the works that we was doing in Mayfair. You know, but praise be to Allah for the strong brothers who stood their ground with us from day one in that property. You know, we had many of battles, many of confrontations. You don't really have enough time.
Could you give us one story? Could you give us one story at least?
One story?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is a story that kind of make me upset with your pops, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you know, but it was all good. You know, drug boys one night decided to say, no, the hell with you all Muslims. We gonna hang out, we're gonna make noise, we're gonna drink beer, and we're gonna cause a nuisance. We had brothers out there who was trying to humbly tell them, you know, just keep it down. You know, you're making too much noise if you don't live out here. You know, and then they get a little aggressive, and you know, nah, man, the hell with y'all. We ain't going nowhere. You know, so you know, at that point we'd get on the radio. I wasn't out there at the time, but I got the message. We got a code red situation in Mayfair. So when we call a code red situation, we know, you know, brothers didn't lay down on that. We all respond. So I responded. I come out. A number of other brothers come out, and we see it had to be at least maybe 12 drug boys. So when, you know, when they gathered like that, they had you know, they had some juice with them, so they thought. And so the more of us that showed up, we trying to keep them calm. We trying to be respectful, because we never went into any community that we went into with the police mentality.
Yes, sir.
We always went into any drug property that we went into, especially Mayfair, with the hat of a savior, the hat of a big brother. And we taught these soldiers on the property. And a number of them was attending the mosque. And so they didn't see us as you know, aggressive police, or you know. And so, you know, we still was trying to be respectful and letting them know, okay, nah, you're not going to be disrespectful to us or none of the brothers. We're going to have to keep this noise down. Now, during this particular time, Dr. Aleem was running for Congress. And so we stayed out late, you know, pushing the program and pushing Dr. Aleem.
Yes, sir.
And so Brother Sharif, who was Brother Wim at the time, he heard about the code red. And so he came out on the property with a crew of soldiers. It was maybe about 4 or 5 brothers with him. And instead of, you know, him wanting to rationalize things, he just quickly said, what's the problem? Who's the problem? Who, him? Bam! He just went off and just stole this dude in the face, man. And that's it. At that point, that's it. It ain't no such thing as, you know, talking at that point and backing down at that point.
Yes, sir.
It's all out fighting now. We, you know, you throw the first punch from outside, we got to throw the second punch. So we just, you know, and so it was 12 of them against maybe 10 of us at the time, and we pretty much destroyed them. They went into their houses and came back out with bats, knives, sticks, and wanted to fight again. You know, so we went into another battle that ended up running him back in the house. And I never forget that night, man. And we had to just go ahead and just retreat back into the command post and stay up in there for a while. And of course, police started coming from everywhere, and they out there bleeding and on the ground and crying. And a lot of residents started coming out. And the very next day, we was hoping that things had kind of settled down. And me and brother Napoleon was walking through the property, and the police come through the property. And I'm telling this story for a reason. I'm gonna end it with this, something that the police said.
Yes, sir. Take your time, brother.
And one of the drug boys pointed me out. So that's one of them right there. Police, of course, hated the fact, number one, that we made a big impression on this property that they wasn't able to make in years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they decided to handcuff me, handcuff brother Napoleon, put us in the police car, take us down to the police station with a assault charge, assault with a deadly weapon. This is what they charged us with. So, of course, one of my questions was, what was the deadly weapon? And the deadly weapon was my shoe, because they knew we stopped certain brothers. And so I never forget, we was about to get out of the police car into the precinct, and the white police officer said, we're gonna see how much drugs you can bust up now while being locked up. This is the mentality that the police had. You know, and just on that same page, we also had a property at Potomac Gardens where we've got into battles as well. The drug boys got so close to us on this property, they came to us and told them that the police told them, what is wrong with you all letting the Muslims come and run y'all out? Y'all not gonna do nothing about that? This is the police telling the drug boys this, not knowing that the drug boys was gonna come back and let us know what they were told. You know, so we was in battle with the police, man, the drug boys, you know, but that produced soldiers, you know.
Okay, excellent. Brother, Sister Miriam says, thank you for your dedication and to our nation for your family sacrifice as well. Please thank you for your sacrifice and your family sacrifice. Brother David Ali, my brother from Chicago, says, all praise due to Allah. He loves it. Akeem, your son, says, destroy them, LOL. Also, I was going to ask you, Brother Daryl, how did you all handle, if somebody was a coward among you all or ran away, how did you all handle them? How was that situation handled?
Well, the cowards was smart. When they cowered out, we didn't see them anymore because they knew what they were going to get if they returned. Because we would always speak about it in FOI class. Don't be with us on the battlefield and then you run. We will deal with you after it's over.
Yes, sir.
So they were smart enough to know if they ran or cowered out, we never saw them again. They just disappeared.
Yes, sir.
You know, let me interject something real quick, Josh, before I forget. You know, I'm thankful to Allah that we were able to do what we did in Mayfair and with the Nation of Islam, and have by our side the wives that we had with your mom, you know, Sister Najima, and definitely my wife, Sister Zanya, by staying at home and raising our beautiful children who we are so proud of. You know, because, you know, to have a dad not at home as much as, you know, your dad wasn't at home, I wasn't at home, and, you know, to travel with the minister, but to have a mother there at home to still raise you all. And, you know, I can't thank Allah enough for Sister Zanya for doing a wonderful job with our beautiful children, Brother Akeem Muhammad, Camilla Muhammad, Fahim Muhammad, Shamila Muhammad, and our youngest one, Aleem Muhammad. I mean, I can't ask for better children. And most of that is due because of the love that their mother showed for them, you know, during the time where dad wasn't around.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir. And thank you to the, Zion and your children as well. Okay, Brother Daryl, I have a question. If you were teaching future leaders how to train up the men to put that kind of love in them to make sure that they won't run when the battle happens, what would you tell them? Like, how do you create that kind of fearlessness in the men that were under your charge?
You know, in every human being, there's a sense of fear. There are butterflies, you know, but the moment you challenge your fear is when you overcome the fear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, in my growing up, I played football. I was always on the football team. I was one of the smallest men on the team, but I was the starting linebacker and I was the captain of defense.
Yeah.
And before each game, there were butterflies. Before each fight that we would get in, there were butterflies.
Yes, sir.
But when you start knowing who your God is,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
when you start understanding that Master Farrakhan Muhammad is your God,
yes, sir.
That's when the fear is gone. You don't have any fear anymore, because whatever happens is going to happen, and it was by the permission of Allah to happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so if you know that whatever happens is going to be by the permission of Allah, then what are there to be afraid of? There's no reason to be scared.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No reason to be scared. And so this is the type of training that we was giving the men. And then we proved to them, because there were situations where we should have been killed, straight up. There were situations where they pulled guns out and was shooting, but it wasn't no bullets coming out.
Yes, sir. Or
the guns was getting jammed. And so who was that was doing that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was Allah himself. And when you know you have that type of backing, how can you be scared? What are you afraid of?
Yes, sir.
You challenge your fears, especially when you know you ain't doing nothing wrong. When you know that the work you're doing is for the betterment of your people, you gotta have heart. Now, trust and believe. Like I said, I saw some brothers that I was disappointed in. Now, look, Josh, these were brothers who were black belts, who I saw heartfelt in. And so no matter what type of black belt you have or what degree you have, if you don't have that belief and faith in Allah, you might as well just give up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, okay, praise be to Allah. Brother Michael Muhammad says, you all had a great effect on those of us that listen to watch. You all that to say with Brother Sharif. Brother Keem says, all praise to Allah. Mimi says, yes, design is a real one. So Brother David Ali says, right. Brother Kelvin Muhammad says, true. And Brother David Ali says, 100. Thank you all for watching and continuing to watch it. Brother Daryl, okay, here we go. Boom. Did you ever receive a death threat personally to you?
Man, brother Aleem Muhammad, who was the minister in D.C., sent me to deal with this situation that was taking place at his sister's house. It's a story I don't tell too many people. But she was having issues with the brother who she was living with. From my understanding, they weren't married, but he was putting her out of the house. But she wanted to just go there to get her belongings. And so it was some, it was a long story into that. So unfortunately, this day I was by myself and went to assist with this situation. And so brother, he was standing at the top of his steps. And all of a sudden he reached over and pulled off a shotgun, put out a shotgun. And he clicked it and said, you don't get out of my house right now, I'm gonna put a bullet in you and I'll be justified because you're in my house. And in my head, okay, I'm receiving instructions from Dr. Aline. Now, of course, you know, some brothers might say, you know, man, stop tripping. You better get the hell out of that house, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But during that time, man, we were the type of soldiers who we carried out instructions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There was no such thing as not completing an instruction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And my instructions was to make sure I retrieve these belongings and then get up out of there. So I told the brother, look, if you're going to shoot, you go ahead and shoot now, because it'll be the will of Allah that happen. But I'm here to make sure that all these items are retrieved. And once we do that, we done. Brother just walked away. And praise be Allah, I got the hell up out of there. It was over.
Okay, excellent. I have another question. In DC, when I was very young, I heard people make a reference to a tree. Could you explain to us what the tree is and what the tree represents?
Come on, Josh, we can't talk about the tree on the air, man. We got too many people listening, man. We can't talk about the tree.
Okay, yes, sir.
I'll put it to you this way. If brothers violated, instead of giving them F time, or instead of them just straight putting them out of the mosque, the nation, they went to the tree. And then they became better soldiers. And we can just end it like that.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay. I have to say this podcast is brought to you by my sister Miriam's book, ABC I Love Me, which is on Amazon. Please get that. Also, my brother Politically Oppressed and Jamal have a video production company called Street Premiere, and they sponsor this podcast as well. And my second book, Cleopatra, is on Amazon. Please get this if you all have some children and things like that. Perfect. Brother Daryl, what is it?
Yes,
I have
sir.
more questions, but I want to just go to this because we talked about the tree. What is it like for you to function now in a time period where you can't necessarily put people on a tree and things like, or, you know, have that kind of thing? How are you able to function in 2019 when you came from such a military extreme background?
Well, you know, the older you get, the more you appreciate the value of another man. In which I think that now in 2019, showing more appreciation for the works that the brothers does to them is more motivating, it's more inspiring. You know, it's almost like coming from the Old Testament, going into the New Testament.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the New Testament, it's all about love for what you
sir.
do and the understanding of what you do. Old Testament, it was law and physical, you know, we beat you down type stuff. So with this New Testament that we're in, if we have brothers who learn to love what they do, love the mission, you'd be surprised what you can get out of them without the, you know, physical aspects. Even though the military bearing that we have would never die, that carries on. Even in 2019, every brother in the Nation of Islam and Lost Found appreciates the militancy that we possess. And so we can never get away from that. I don't think we should ever try to. You know, this is why I appreciated drill so much. And this is why I did the book that I know you're going to ask me about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That gives us a better understanding of why we should drill and the benefit from becoming a disciplined soldier. So yeah, it is, you know, the difference is just learning to love what we do now as opposed to, Josh, can you see me?
No, sir. You went off for a minute.
Yeah, I noticed that something is going on with this.
Okay, well, Brother Daryl's working on, okay, there you go, right there.
Okay, all right. So, yes, sir. So, you know, the difference is just that, you know, just having a better understanding of who your soldiers are and treating them you know, with the love that the Honorable Farrakhan has exemplified to us. You know, following his example is the 2019 way.
Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. I want to say, Brother Kelvin Maxwell, I'm assuming he's from DC because he seems to know a lot of your stories. He says, truth, the trainer men of men love this brother. He treated and tried me often. The fruit is the best. You went there. He said that damn the tree. Thank you. Yes, sir. Brother Duran, I believe is saying 100. And everybody's laughing. Okay, Brother Daryl, let's get to drill. This is
yes,
how
sir.
I knew you growing up. I did not know you as the superhero who was going into Dopebusters and all of that. I was too young to understand that. What I saw was a strong man on stage with a posture that I'm still trying to emulate and imitate till this day. Some of the best drillers I've ever seen in the Nation of Islam, period, around the world, period, came out of Washington, D.C. High stepping, strong, just looked like y'all was beating everybody up. And apparently, according to these stories, now that I'm older, I see that you want to work. What was it about drill that attracted you, and what made you write your book? If you could tell everybody about your book and where to get your book.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be real brief with it, but it's a long story.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna be brief though. You know, when I first came into mosque and saw drill, you know, I really appreciated it. We were drilling actually in FOI class, again in Brother Anthony Muhammad's basement. And I saw brothers who were drilling in a way where, man, this is really interesting. You know, these brothers they weren't sluggish. They weren't drilling the way we started drilling, but their posture was immaculate. The head was snapping, and you know, they were just doing face movements. But the power that exemplified was awesome. And so I just was attracted to that. And so of course I became one of the top drillers before I even thought about being a DI. You know, but of course, like I told you the story with Brother John and Brother Rodney, Brother Akil, and Brother Anthony, we weren't drilling at a level where I felt our generation should be drilling at. You know, we were drilling too fast. You know, and it was taking away the posture to a degree. It was taking away the power of drill and what it does.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so the drill team, when we first started out, was really my squad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so we had the Revolutionary Squad. That was the name of our squad. And so if you understand what revolutionary means, is we wanted to do things different.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to make a change. And so with this squad, we started drilling in a way that just, it's hard to describe. But just real quick, the origin of having soldiers to drill like that is to establish a bond with these brothers. And that's why I said these were brothers who were in my squad.
Yes, sir. Yes,
these
sir.
were brothers who I can tell you some stories about us staying overnight in the woods.
Yes, sir.
Actually
yes, sir.
getting ready to battle with some crackers that's in the woods also. But that's another whole long story. But we did things like that. You know, we soldiered together. We trained together. You know, it wasn't just drill practice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a part of it. But at the same time, there was a bond that we established. Whereas though in drill practice, if one man messed up, we all had to do push-ups. And what that did was establish unity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I wanted my spirit to be on him. I wanted his spirit to be on me. So we all be on one page. You know, and so we didn't just use drill to prepare for Savior's Day.
Yes, sir.
that started in the 2000s. You know, drill, the way we were using it back in the day. I mean, okay, Savior's Day was the grand finale to show what you know, but we drilled at churches on Sunday. We drilled at weddings. We drilled at parades.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We drilled just because, you know, we were on a call out. We would go on a call out and fall in and drill, the drill team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I got to tell you this one quick battle story, just real quick.
And take your time, brother. Take your time.
And it shows the power of drill. This was right after we had went into Mayfair. And so I took my drill squad to another drug-infested community that we weren't doing security at, up in Northwest, at a high crime property. And so we fell in ranks and kind of started, you know, pushing the final calls at this point. I believe this was in 89 maybe. Drug boys came out the house. Oh, nah, we ain't having that. Y'all did that in Mayfair. Man, go get my stuff. Man, go. So they all was going to get their guns and whatever they had to come back out the house. And so they went in the house and a lot of them came back out and we knew they were packing. And I'm in a position here. I got my squad out here. What do we do?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do I tell these brothers, okay, let's bounce? Nah, that just wasn't in my blood to do.
Yes, sir.
Had the brothers fall in, we going through some series now. You know, we drilling hard. And we had particular cadence that we would call when we were in the communities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, black people, we love you. We love you.
Yes,
dope, dope. Crush it out, stomp it out, push it out, push it out. I mean, so we was going hard and we started drilling and everybody started coming out their houses and children started coming around and we had a circle around us of residents who was just watching us drill. And so that just threw off the whole spirit that those drug boys had for whatever they thought they were going to do and wanted to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, and once all the people were out there in the crowds, I had the brothers just pass out the final calls and then we got the hell up out of it. You know, but it was just the thought of drill that really protected us, of course, through, you know, Allah. But it was when we started drilling that just changed the whole tempo and set a whole new outlook on that whole situation. And so, of course, throughout the years, we would prepare and go to Chicago. And of course, everybody was targeting to beat DC. If you beat DC, then you're going to win, you know. And so we kind of pretty much took over the 90s. In the 90s, we kept winning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I know we have at least 5 championships. Only 4 was recorded. 5 championships in Chicago. I mean, in the 90s. Damn. We got robbed in the late 80s because we definitely, it was really only us in Chicago that competed in 89 to be exact. And we didn't win because actually Chicago came out there in a white uniform that we had just got. And of course their DI was Brother Mustafa. And so just for those 2 factors alone, the judges wasn't going to not say that Mustafa and Chicago won, you know. So, but praise be to Allah, man. We trained, you know, and established the rhythm that we should have had amongst the drill team. One thing that I always tell DIs is that you got to establish a rhythm amongst your men. Yes, sir. You know, when you're drilling. So what I decided to do in the late 90s, early 2000s is begin to write a book. Praise God. And one of my favorite books that I read before was called The Art of War, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. By Sun Tzu. Yes, sir. And he points out in his Art of War different strategies, different tactics on how to win battles. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And how to win battles without fighting. Yes, sir. And so I mimicked the book Art of War and did the art of drill. And so when you open the art of drill, you see Master Farrakhan Muhammad at the very beginning.
Yes, sir.
Because that's the God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is what we this is what we teach. We don't. Let me just interject this real quick. We didn't have a drill team that weren't Muslims. There's no such thing as that you're gonna just join the drill team.
Yes, sir.
No,
yes, sir.
you were starch FOI Muslims that believe in Master Farrakhan Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And you were soldiers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
yes,
so
sir.
with those ingredients, we were champions. And so I wanted everybody in the nation, especially young brothers today, to understand the whole meaning behind drill. We somewhat kind of turned it into a show display, a display of entertainment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it is, but that's not what it's for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It can be looked at as, man, that was a good entertaining thing we had, but that's not what drill is for.
Yes, sir.
And so, of course, when you told me you was going to do the thing, I made sure I have a book with me. I'm quite sure
Yes, sir.
a lot of people have seen it, but this is what it looked like. It's the art of drill.
How do we get it, Bro Daryl? How do they order it? People were watching it.
There was a website that was up that's not up no more because nobody really used it. And so everybody turned into calling me and putting their order in. And so I'm like, okay, well, ain't no sense on paying for the website. And ain't nobody going on and using it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
so everybody ended up just calling me, contacting me, saying, look, I need books. I had brothers from D.C. order a number of books. But Secretary Dirksen, he ordered books because he have a bookstore there. Brothers that you see on the front of this book that I got to give a shout out to real quick,
Yes, sir.
these were some soldiers.
Yes, sir.
They were soldiers, man. And this particular picture right here, wasn't no drill competition. We performed at the Blackburn Center, saluting the Black woman. And so we had an event that was called the Salute to the Black Woman that we put on in, man, what year was that? I believe that was 89 or 91, 89 or 90, where we saluted all the sisters around the nation. We invited the minister's daughters, Mother Khadijah came. And so this thing had went to a point where we didn't even know it was going to get that high. We had Dr. Khalid be the MC. He was the guest speaker. Malik Farrakhan was the MC. Jeff Majors performed. And so the highlight of the night was when we drilled.
Yes, sir.
And so we use drill in those type of ways to give salute and salutation to certain events.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so again, the art of drill is a book that will give you a better understanding of what drill is all about. Again, you can I don't mind putting my phone number out there.
Yes, sir.
You can call. I ain't tripping. I get a lot of calls from bill collectors anyway. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So 404-985-5294. 404-985-5294. If you want to put in an order, I have connections with UPS and the post office that really cost me little or nothing. But the book itself is $19, Number of God. And I do offer wholesale prices depending on how many you order. And so brother from Miami ordered a number of books. Brother from LA ordered a number of books. Brothers from DC ordered a number of books. So, praise be to Allah, it's getting out there. And this past Savior's Day, Minister Ishmael came up to me and said, man, Brother Daryl, I want to really thank you for giving me that book. The Art of Drill, man, that's a nice book, especially for brothers that's coming in the nation. We got to figure out a way to get that book in the hands of these soldiers. And so he must have read it from cover to cover.
Praise be to Allah.
And so I must say about one critique he had about the book. He felt that I should have the God at the end instead of the beginning. In which, you know, I understand why he's saying that, you know, and there's, if you notice when you look at this book, it's book 1. And so book 2 is in the making.
Praise be to Allah.
And so different critiques and different advice that I got from book 1, it'll be adjusted in book 2. But book 1, again, just explains pretty much and get in depth the meaning of drill and why we drill, and give certain stories of even the dope during the time of the Dopebusters and the sacrifices that were made to just establish drill itself. Praise and so book 2 is going to incorporate more drill movements, drill cadence. How do you actually make face movements? How high should your leg come up? What posture should you give when you're saluting and when you're marching? And so that it's going to be a more practical application, book 2.
Okay, wonderful. And I hope everyone please go out and make sure you get the book, The Art of Drill. Brother Duran says, I appreciate the oral history of the soldiers that helped to establish them in this dispensation. Thank you, Brother Duran, for watching. Brother David Ali says, great interview. Thank you, Brother David Ali, for always showing love. Brother Kelvin says, I will never forget how he trained. Brother Eric says, walaikum salam. Brother Eric from D.C.
Fast drilling, Brother Eric.
I don't know how you do it with that, Brother Eric. Yes, sir. And Brother Tony from overseas, who's working overseas, says, give you the greetings as well. Okay, Brother Daryl. Now, because you're when you're watching drill and you're trained in drill, you have a style. What is it like? What other teams do you like outside of DC when you're, you just DC, that's all you know. And you see different, LA has a style, Atlanta has a style, Chicago has a style, New York has a style, Houston and Detroit. And do you ever admire other teams, or are you just strictly with the DC style? That's what it is.
Well, no, I'm not going to say, I'm biased to the DC style. What I do love to see, especially when I'm, attending the drill competitions and Saviors Day, Allah bless me to be amongst the judges, and I'm considered the judges' advisor is what my position be at Saviors Day.
Yes, sir.
And so what we do is have different conference calls prior to the drill competitions and make sure that the judges understand what you're looking for. And so it's not a particular DC style that we look for. It's not a particular style. It's the posture of a soldier. It's the strength of a soldier. Yes, and sir. It's the creativity at the same time with your strength that I admire from any city. Even if you don't have that DC style that we created. If you're displaying creativity and your posture is immaculate as a soldier, and you're not trying to mimic the MGT, I admire that. The sisters at this point, Josh, and you can bear witness, has pretty much taken over drill.
Absolutely.
Because they I can't, I'm not going to even try to say why, but it's good. It's a blessing. Actually, I wrote about the MGT in the book, The Art of Drill, and how the sisters are now really on a level that is the highlight.
Yes, sir.
So praise be to Allah.
Yes.
But the brothers got to understand that to show greatness as a drill squad of men, you don't have to mimic the MGT because they're great within themselves.
Yes, sir.
And they have their own style. So I don't like to see that in soldiers, but I do like to see, just sharpness, crispness, creativity, strength.
Yes, sir. Okay, brother. Kelvin says he makes a mean lasagna. Sister Mariah says, can the number be put in the comments so she can get a screenshot if possible, your personal number? Yes, ma'am. And he gave it twice, Sister Mariah. Brother Captain Akil, walaikum salam, sir. It's always good to see my godfather. And he spoke about you earlier in your drill as well, sir. Brother Daryl, what has been your greatest, Brother Daryl, are you there? Brother Daryl? Okay, we're waiting for Brother Daryl's screen to get fixed. I want to thank everyone for tuning in for this special edition of Off the Record.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So you can hear me?
I'm here.
Yes, sir. What has been your greatest, your screen is frozen, Brother Daryl.
I'm with you, Josh. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. What has been your greatest? I can see you, but your screen is frozen. Your screen is frozen. Okay, but as long as I can hear you, then as long as we can hear you, then it's all good. What has been your greatest trial, Brother Daryl? And
can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Josh?
Yes, sir, I can. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I guess it's delayed.
Okay, yes, sir. What has been your greatest trial, and how did you overcome it as far as being a soldier in the ranks so far? All right. Brother, are you there? Thank you all for your patience. I don't know what's going on right now with Bradel's screen.
Can you hear me, Josh?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes,
I heard the question.
Yes, sir, I'm just waiting on your answer.
Okay, I think we kind of delayed a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer the question.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a delayed. Just real quick, my greatest trial in being in the nation was, I guess, overcoming the different administrations that we had. I done been through so many captains, so many ministers, but praise be to Allah, we always used to teach the soldiers, especially the soldiers in my squad, that your love for the Nation of Islam is not based on any administration that you encounter. Mm-hmm. When you wrote your ex, you wrote your letter to get your ex, you wrote your letter to Master Farrakhan Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I must say my greatest trials was just to overcome the different administrations that I've been through. But however, the training, a lot of times we end up having problems with our current administration. And so that disables us and we end up stop being a believer. We end up stop coming out to the mosque. We end up not helping the Honorable Louis Farrakhan because we're mad at the current administration. But you got to look beyond the current administration. You look beyond who those people are that's in place that runs the mosque. Look beyond them and understand what your mission is that God gave you. Allah has given each one of us an individual mission.
Yes, sir.
And nobody, no one, I don't care who they are, should stop you from being on that path. Unless you are mistreated by God himself.
Yes,
nothing should take you off the path that you are on with serving in the Nation of Islam and following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I mean, we all have our weaknesses. We all may fall by the wayside to a degree, but nobody should be able to run us away from doing the work of helping the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan just because we are mad and angry at the current administration. But yet at the same time, those were my biggest trials.
Praise be to Allah. One last question, sir. What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I want my legacy to be, Brother Daryl was the brother who cared about the
Yeah, Brother Daryl, okay, are you there?
The training of the men to a degree where I knew, our lives had to be improved. Yes, sir. And so just knowing that, this brother was, one of the best trainers of men that we could have, only because I cared about the soldiers and their well-being. So that's the legacy. I hate that this daggone screen is frozen and everything is delayed, but praise be to Allah, we pretty much done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you, sir, and I want to thank everyone for watching. And I learned a lot, Brother Daryl, from you, and I will continue to admire. I didn't know you had that many championships in the 90s. That's excellent. I'm glad that you were in the 90s, so you can receive all those championships, and you didn't have to compete against the Atlanta FOI, who may have taken those championships away from you, sir. So I just want to I want to thank you for being an example to me, Brother Daryl, for the way I drill, the way not as a DI alone, but the way I hold myself and my posture came from you, and the training and the style of drill of DC. You all are just, God, like real soldiers that people should admire and emulate. So I thank you, Brother Daryl, for your sacrifice, sir. Brother Fontaine says, peace, one of the greatest drill instructors to ever walk among us. Washington, D.C.'s finest, these beautiful soldiers.
Thank you, Brother Josh, for having me, man.
Go ahead, Brother Daryl. I was just reading what Brother Fontaine was saying.
I want to thank everybody that, yes, sir. I want to just thank everybody that did tune in, that's giving me a shout out. Brother Kelvin, he was a top soldier. Thank you, Brother Fontaine, Brother Akil, for being on. Everybody else that's on that I don't know about. Brother Akeem, my mighty top oldest son. I'm real appreciative of you having me on, Josh. You keep up the good work, man. And, shout out to all the other strong DIs that was coming up in my era. I'll be remiss not to mention Brother Verdes from New York, and, my man from Detroit, that's the first officer now in Chicago. I mean, Brother Halim in LA. We all was battling during that time, but we all was great DIs, and we had a good love for each other. And so, so again, Josh, I appreciate it. This was long overdue. I know you want to get into your top 5 that's coming up at 9 o'clock. So may Allah be with everybody. Thank you again. As I greet you, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. And thank you, Brother Fontaine. Everyone, please like and subscribe on YouTube, Off the Record. If you want to sponsor or have one of your business promoted, let me know. J Imagination on Cash App. Let me know what your business is, and we'll work it from there. Thank you all. Thank you all for watching. All right, assalamu alaikum.